Thank you for tuning in to the Helium Radio Network. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
Peaceful Warriors Wellness. Feel better, move better, be better. When you feel better, you feel more like you. And when you move better, there's so much you can do. Be who you were meant to be. Peaceful Warriors Wellness. Feel better, move better, be better. Peaceful Warriors.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast. My name is Scott Roberts.
And I'm Lena Roberts.
And I'm Roma.
Welcome again, and we're going to go through our normal daily check-in on our podcast of things that you can do to improve your health and wellness and quality of life. So the first thing that we'd like to talk about is water and how much of it you should be drinking.
You should be drinking, what is it? You take your weight and you divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking every day. Correct?
And that's the minimum.
Did I get that right?
You did get that right. You're paying attention, which is great. So there are some things that would increase that number. For every cup of coffee or alcoholic beverage that you consume, you should add another 8 ounces of water.
Wow.
And then you would brought up another valid point. If you're eating a very salt-heavy diet,
Yes.
you would want to add more water as well.
To help
you
flush
really-
that out. Yeah.
Yep. If you're working out and or through the course of your job you sweat profusely because you're working really hard, you should also drink more water to help replace the water that you're expending
Right.
through your sweat.
Right. One thing that I have noticed since you have lost weight is that you do not sweat like you used to sweat. It's really significant notice. I mean, I can really notice it.
The people at the gym would say otherwise.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But that's when you're supposed to. You were sweating a lot just randomly.
Well, and part of that was because I was carrying around, an extra 50 pounds of weight. So that just moving was becoming a workout.
Right.
So the second thing we're going to talk about is nutrition.
Our nutrition was horrible this weekend.
We weren't too bad. We did a little bit here and there, but it's okay. When
Yeah, we
people
did a little bit
talk
here and
about
there.
dieting, what's really funny is the misuse of the word diet and the negative connotation that the word has all by itself. So people think when they say the word diet that means that they have to be restrictive, they can't have this, they can't have that. It's all about punishing yourself to move forward. And it's important to remember that you can give yourself that occasional treat. What you don't want to do, and you want that to be about 95% of the time you're making good, healthy choices, but you're still allowing yourself that 5% to sit there and go, oh, it's okay if I have a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I know, it was so good.
And it was good. But I don't feel bad having eaten it, and it's not going to deter me from going where I want to go health-wise by having that. It's just if I have one every day, that's not a good thing.
No, but I have thought about that Reese's peanut butter cup like 4 times this morning.
They are addictive. So what is kind of funny is people don't realize that sugar and salt, two of the primary staples in the American diet, are more addictive than most illegal substances are. And all of our processed foods are rich in sugar and salt, and that's why they're so easily addictive behaviors and so desirable, because it has that immediate explosion reward in your mouth and in your nose.
Right.
That sits there and says, man, these are great. And there's a reason why Lay's says you can't have just one.
Yes.
Right? Because you can't. Right? So anyway, good, proper nutrition is a very important key to health and wellness. The next thing I want to talk about is exercise, movement. And a lot of people think that the only way that happens is if you go to a gym and you move heavy weights, or you go to the gym and you run, you have to work really, really hard at all times. Well, not everybody is in a physical position to be able to do that. Could be because they haven't done it in a while, because they're have gained weight. Maybe they've hurt themselves. So it's really
maybe they just can't go to a gym because of COVID.
They have concerns about COVID, yeah. Absolutely. So it's really important, because I have heard a lot of my clients say that, well, I can't go do anything because of the current situation.
Yeah.
The thing that's important to remember is even just going for a brisk walk for at least 20 minutes every day will make a huge difference in your body's metabolism and your body's ability to process the food that you are giving it, and to stay conditioned towards health and wellness. So it's really important to find things that you can do, no matter what the obstacles are, that you'll be able to give yourself that option of having at least 20 minutes of movement every day. All right. And then the next one is one of your favorites,
which is sleep. I love to sleep.
Why is that so important from a health perspective?
Because there has got to be a balance in your body. It has to have that time to rest and recover and regroup to be able to continue to go. You can't go all the time wide open. You have to have rest.
She keeps trying to tell me that. I don't always get it, but
y'all just do not know how many times that I tell him, Scott, slow down. Scott, stop. Come sit down. Scott, you do not need to be working today. Take a day off. I say that a lot.
Yes, and we're taking Friday off, but guess what? We're going to go kayaking, and she's going to ask me to paddle her all over near Weeden Island. Yes. So I'll have the day off, but I won't. It'll still be
working.
Yes.
I know, and I'll be up there sitting on that kayak like the Queen of the Nile. Ah. Mosquitoes all coming to bite me.
So anyway, we're looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. But sleep is very important. It's where not only your body gets to take time to replenish and recuperate and heal, but it's also really important for your mind.
Right.
So one of the problems we have here in the United States is the overabundance of electronics and the ability to have them on all the time. It is important to remember to disconnect. I know some people that are very, very successful that have put timers on the outlet where their cable box, where your router is, where it comes in from the wall, and at a certain time that goes off. So you have no Wi-Fi, you have nothing. It's time to go to sleep, and that's the way that they've set that habit for themselves.
Right.
Because they lose connectivity. So just remember that sleep is very important, and if you are doing those things, your chances of moving towards health and wellness and a better quality of life is much greater. So that's why we do the check-in every single time we do the podcast, just as a friendly reminder to drink plenty of water, make healthy food choices, eat whole food, not processed food, get plenty of sleep, and remember to engage in at least 20 minutes of exercise on a daily basis. And did you know that 70% of all chronic illnesses could be either avoided or relieved just through proper nutrition?
I believe it.
So imagine if you were, through your nutrition with your water and your food, and you were getting enough sleep and movement, what the chances of you avoiding heart disease, diabetes, etc. What types of dementia, what types of odds you would have of being able to do things when you get a little bit older, and how many of us know people that are sitting in an easy chair, looking at the world go by, staring out their window, wishing that they could go do something. So anyway, let's go ahead and go to our next topic.
Ooh, what we're going to talk about today?
There's two things I'd like to talk about today. One is based on a book I recently read called Atomic Habits, and the principles of setting good habits and trying to reduce the current habits that you have that you are no longer desirable for you in your day. And then the second thing is positivity, because a diet not only is what you put in your body, physically with food and water, but your diet is also what you read, what you watch, what you listen to,
Whatever you take in.
and who you spend time with, who you surround yourself with. So I think it's really important that we not only take an inventory of our food diet, but we also take an inventory of our mental health and wellness, emotional diet as well. So yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I know people all over the world made a valid point of taking time to spend with their loved one, right? I know you and I did. It was a wonderful day. We had a great day. But there are times throughout our week, through our month, and through the year that we wind up forgetting how important it is to spend that quality time with the people that we are close to. You know, we get busy, we have work, we get home, there's food to cook, there's kids to feed, there's a house to clean,
Side hustles to do.
side hustles, right? Some of us have those as well. So it's important to take time for yourself. It's really important to put it into your schedule. And if you don't, chances are that things that you don't have in your actual schedule, you'll wind up avoiding or missing. So every single morning, every day of the week, I already have a preset routine, and I know, depending on which day of the week it is, what I'm going to be doing that day. And that consistency is important. But part of that is every day I listen to daily affirmations. And those are important because we already have had years, in my case about 52 years, of potential programming put into our brains, and not all of it's healthy or beneficial to us. So anybody that's listening, can you remember things when you were growing up that were said that are resonating in your head, things that even that you've said since then, maybe with your kids or anything else like that, that in hindsight, if you look back, go, I wonder if there's a better way I could have said that, or if that could have been said to me that would be more beneficial, more positive and uplifting instead of negative and pushing down or holding down.
Absolutely. I think we all do.
Everybody does. And I think somebody told me that for every negative, you have to kind of have 10 positives to reverse it.
Or more.
So it's really important to feed yourself a healthy diet of affirmations. And there are going to be some that are going to resonate and know that are true for you. And if I were going to give you some, you're a very kind, caring, loving person. Right? I don't think that that's disputable. I think everybody that has ever met you would say that that's the case.
I think there's a few ex-husbands out there that will beg to differ that comment.
So we're talking about daily affirmations and positivity. And it's important to, like I said, feed yourself positive things throughout your day. So find things that are positive, really focus on and emphasize those, reward yourself for those. And when you find yourself thinking in a negative way, recognize it and then change it.
How can you recognize it? Because I think that's something that we all struggle with, is that we can recognize it after the fact, but how do we recognize it during and even before?
Well, there was a situation this weekend with a hot pan on a stove.
Oh my gosh, I burnt my hand. Not too bad. It really is not that bad, but it hurt. Oh, it hurt really bad.
So for the next 15 minutes at least, somebody walked around the kitchen telling themselves how stupid they were.
Stupid, 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 stupid. I did.
Where, to be very honest, you're a very intelligent woman. You made a bad choice, and it was one of those subconscious things you didn't even think about. It's just you did it, and obviously you got punished very quickly for it because it burnt.
Yeah.
But you're not stupid.
It was a stupid act. I still think about that. I was like, Why did you take the oven mitt off and then grab the hot pan? That was really stupid.
And as you can tell, she's still telling herself how stupid she is.
Yes.
Recognizing it is understanding that it doesn't serve you, and that you usually have that differentiation in your voice of, you suck, you're stupid, I'm this, I'm that. When you start doing that to yourself, you need to step back and reevaluate it and try to find, in this case, it's an opportunity. You learn something from it. Yes, you've learned it before, but the lesson reared its ugly head and said, hey, you need to learn me again real quick because pans on the stove are hot. But anyway, that's how you recognize it. And it's important to grab a hold of that opportunity and make things more positive and correct the bad programming that's going in. So with that note, we're going to take a small break.
Hey, Eric Remmel here, producer of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast, and I'm here today to tell you about the amazing folks at Peaceful Warriors Wellness Center. Not only am I a producer of the show, but I'm also a client. Their staff of therapists are truly the best at what they do. Now is your chance to check them out for yourself. Go to their website, peacefulwarriorswellness.com, and click Book Now, or give them a call at 727-822-8866. Use the promo code RADIO and get $15 off your first visit. Yes, you heard me right. $15 off your first visit. Now, this is just for a limited time, and make sure to tell them that you heard about it on heliumradio.com.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast. I'm Scott Roberts.
And I'm Lena Roberts.
And I'm Roma.
And I feel like I've kind of dominated this podcast a little bit. I know I chose the topics, but the next thing that we're going to talk about is habits and how to form them. Or, just as importantly, how to unform them. Because we all have habits that are rewarding and beneficial and helpful. Mm-hmm. And we all have some habits that are a lot less beneficial and helpful. So I just got done reading a book called Atomic Habits, and it was a very interesting read. And it points out some things that we all kind of know, but isn't at the forefront of your mind. And one of those topics that he talks about is the fact that our brains are still wired very primitively. And so we were talking a few minutes ago about the potential consequences of certain things, right? And how quick the consequence can be, burning your hand in this case, right? Or yes, cutting your finger with a knife, sharp knife. You get a little bit distracted, and all of a sudden you've cut your finger or hand. That's an immediate rush of information to the brain that says whatever just happened is not good. We also talked a little bit ago about potato chips and how when you smell those Doritos and you taste those Doritos, it's an explosion in your nose and in your mouth that says, these are amazing and I want more of them.
Reese's Cups.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is another example. Yes. So when we have those, that helps reinforce in our brain that that's good and positive, even though it may not be. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, if you're doing that all the time, and that's part of your normal staple and diet, chances are you're going to gain weight. You're going to gain water weight. You have excessive calories. You're going to set yourself up for an inflammatory environment in your body, and you're going to increase your chances of having illness and disease. Obviously, that's not positive, right? So when we talk about habits, I think it's important to know that you want to spend a little bit of time evaluating them and putting them into different categories, which ones you want to keep and which ones you would prefer to not have in your life, not because they're not rewarding, but because maybe they're too rewarding. And once you decide them, we need to take some steps to put actions in place to go towards the goal that we want.
So let's just use health and wellness as an example, and we want to improve our health. So if you smoke, is there a reward from lighting that cigarette, taking that first drag off of that cigarette?
Well, yeah.
It's huge, right? And that's one of the things that makes some of these habits difficult to move away from. Is it in your best interest? Is it healthy? Is it something that you need? Feels like you do, right? But do you need it? In other words, if you didn't have it, would you still be able to live without it? And would you be healthier if you didn't do it?
Yes, you would be healthier if you did not smoke.
Right. So in reading the book, what I learned very quickly and easily is that making the initial steps to engage in that habit more difficult, farther away, harder to reach, not in front of you, reduces the chance that you're going to engage in that behavior.
Yeah.
To some degree, right?
Yeah.
However, if you work somewhere and there's a bunch of people that go outside and smoke, it's still very easy to go out and go, hey, can I bum a cigarette? Right? So what would you do to avoid that situation? Maybe you would go on break somewhere where you can't smoke.
Yes.
Right? To make it less attractive, to make it harder to engage in that behavior. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
Yes.
you have to be willing and able to discover which of those things that you want to do and which ones you don't want to do so that you can set yourself up for success. So same thing is true with eating. If you go to work and on your desk you have cookies and you have chips and you go into the break room and somebody brought donuts, what are the odds? Even if you resist the urge the first 2 times you go in the break room and you go, nope, I'm not going to get a donut. Half an hour later, nope, I'm not going to get a donut. An hour later, you go, man, that donut looks really good and it's still sitting there. I can have one, right? And all of a sudden you're eating the donut, right? And then all of a sudden you're picking up a second one as you go back to your desk. Is that in and of itself, that one thing, is it bad? No. But the point I'm trying to get to is if you set yourself up to where it's harder, less rewarding, chances of engaging in bad behaviors and habits will go down, and your chances of moving towards good habits will go up. What experiences have you had, Roma, that might be along those lines?
I have this immediate experience in my brain of 2 times that I have made myself sick on something that would be normally a very hard habit to quit. I've worked in the restaurant industry for so long, so smoking cigarettes was like the hardest thing to stop doing, as it was the only reason I could go outside to see the sun. You know what I mean? Working in that industry for so long. And the first time I had quit smoking was actually for a partner of mine, but I had fallen off the wagon and bought a pack. And so I was like, oh man, like I'm closet smoking, I'm freaking out. So I chain smoked, and I made myself so sick from the nicotine that I was not accustomed to that I never wanted to look at a cigarette ever again. I didn't want to smell it. I didn't want anything to do with it. Fast forward a few years, I slowly made my way back into smoking strictly for social purposes. My friends were doing it. They were abandoning me to go stand on the patio and smoke, and I didn't want to be by myself, and I was very anxious. So I got into it again. But the second time that I had made myself sick from it, I was actually camping, and I was dehydrated, and so I had like literally a carton of yellow American spirits and smoked too many again. And now every time that I smell any sort of cigarette, it just makes me nauseous to my core. Want nothing to do with it ever again.
So I think you brought up an interesting aspect of that. And what I mean by that is the social aspect of smoking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm lucky I've never smoked before, but I have done some other things, especially with eating, that have a social component to them that is very easy to go, well, everybody else is out there and I want to join them. And so in your case, talking about cigarettes, for example, people go outside to smoke and you're sitting inside going, now, could you go outside with them and not smoke? Yes. But it does have that social component to it, which I think is important to recognize.
And I think I was completely opposite because I'm such a antisocial person, period, that I would use that cigarette as a reward for tolerating people. And it would be me, I wanted to smoke when I was by myself. And that I think that was harder to break than the social because you're always by yourself.
It was a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to get away from my coworkers. They're annoying me. I'm going to go stand outside and smoke a cigarette. Or my best friend and her boyfriend are outside and smoking, and I want to stand and hang out with them, and I don't want to be left alone inside. So it's like that constant balance of whether I'm alone or not. I wanted a cigarette.
I wanted a cigarette, yes.
So what else could you add to that, to the topic of habits and trying to find ways to set good habits?
Well, for me, when I quit smoking, it was I had to remove myself from every situation that I wanted a cigarette in. And the only place that I can't remember me personally ever smoking was in the bathroom. I was not a sit on the toilet, smoke a cigarette person. And so for me, I would go in there and wash my hands. And it helped me remove me from the situation that I wanted to smoke. The water grounded it. I got the smell of the soap, which kind of explains my addiction to Bath and Body Works soaps. But it really helped me change my habits of washing my hands, which was something that I'd done 1,000 times a day anyway, but I kind of brought a new purpose and enjoyment to it. And those two things really helped me stop smoking. Next month it will be, oh my gosh, how long will that be? 2012, so it'll be 9 years next month.
That is awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, you were talking about washing your hands to keep yourself from smoking. I used to drive around a lot, especially at night, especially alone in my car. It's not often I have someone else in the car with me. So I would spend a lot of time smoking in the car. And I had discovered that singing in the car does not allow me to smoke or vape or anything because I need to get to that next line as soon as possible. So that ended up being really helpful, especially when, like, if I was in the process of quitting or if the place I wanted to go to, I didn't want to smell like a cigarette, I would just sing the whole way there. I'm in a good mood. I feel better. I've tricked my brain into, like, wanting one, and I had a great time.
It's also very good for your lungs to be engaging in singing. It helps you with your breathing, whereas smoking obviously is going to interfere with that. So, in summary, one of the things I would like to do real quick is encourage people to find on their favorite music app some affirmations that they can listen to. And then secondly, to in regards to a habit, one of the habits that people have when their refrigerator and cupboards are empty is going to the grocery store, right? And really focus on shopping the outside of the store. And what I mean by that is go to the fruits and vegetables, go through your meats and proteins, and try your best to avoid the processed foods that are in the middle aisles. And that'll make a huge difference in what you're able to fix and prepare. Now, granted, it may take a little bit longer to fix those meals. It takes a little bit more work to work with Whole Foods.
It takes a little bit more planning. You need to have a list whenever you go to the grocery store.
A list is always a good idea. Yeah, yes. And then resist the urge to have those impulse buys. Just focus on where you want to go and what you want in your life. And
it's okay to impulse buy an apple.
Yeah, those are always good impulse buys. So thank you again for joining us on today's edition of the Feel Better, Move Better, Be Better podcast. Again, I'm Scott Roberts.
And I'm Lena Roberts.
And I'm Roma.
You can find us at www.peacefulwarriorswellness.com. You can give us a call at 727-822-8866. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Helium Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and should not be construed in any way as advice from Helium Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, and editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the express written consent of Helium Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.